Hello everybody, it's Final Rich here with a new video. My 50 favorite US punk albums. Now, before I get started, on my last video I kind of suggested that a certain thread of showing records with bands in suits was kind of lame. And I'm going to kind of stand by that. I mean, if anybody took offense, I didn't mean it, to be offensive. I mean, quite honestly, showing records on YouTube is kind of lame anyways, just in general. I mean, we all love it, but to the average person, man, it's pretty lame. And when I first watched the YouTube video, probably 12, 13 years ago, my brother told me about it, and it was a Derek Higgins. I didn't watch the whole thing. I thought, showing records, who wants to watch that? That's lame. Now, with that said, I'm going to proceed to show some records. Now, like MiddleLifeCrisisRants, I'm going to have some rules, like this one here, by the Consumers. All My Friends Are Dead by the Consumers. I think this was recorded in 1978 in Phoenix, Arizona. I think they were in Phoenix maybe a year at the most, maybe a little less than that. It was just the atmosphere was just too hostile, and they moved to Southern California, the LA County. They kind of hooked up with the Pasadena scene. In fact, the singer of this band, what's his name? David Wiley became the singer of Human Hands. Pat Cutler was in a lot of bands. Most popular, most well known for maybe his 45 Grave. He did play in Dream Syndicate, among others. So this album, what I'm trying to get at. Man, I'm going on a rant already. I can't afford to do that because there's a lot of records here. This album came out in the 90s. So it came out after it was recorded. So I'm not counting this. I'm not going to count any of these mini LPs or EPs. This album has 3 songs on each side. I think it's great. It's one of my favorite punk records, just as that Consumers. But I'm not going to include it because it's not full album. I decided if you only had 3 or 4 songs on each side, it's not going to be an album. If you had 4 on one side and 5 on the other, I'm counting that. And lastly, this is another favorite punk album of mine, but it's only a one-sided record, so I'm not including that. Now, I got an honorable mention here, and I'm not going to include this one either. So, Modern Lovers, this came out in 76, but it was recorded in 74. So, before punk rock was really a thing, there were bubblings of it with proto-punk stuff, Stooges, and many others. But I'm not going to include it because I'm going to consider it a proto-punk record, even though it's kind of quirky and kind of got that punk vibe. But another reason I'm not going to include this is because Jonathan Richman is a little bit of a dick. Ryan Kidd took a record to one of his shows and he refused to sign it. So, come on. All right, we're going to start off. My first one, 1975. We got Patti Smith, Horses. I would say probably the first punk rock album. New York, CBGB scene. She was around before that, like part of the poetry, artistic crowd. Great album though, man. That album, it was when I heard that album, that was the most played album in my household for a while. 1976, we got the debut by the Ramones. Their first 4 albums are all classic, but I'm going to stick with the debut. It's fantastic. It starts off with Blitzkrieg Bop, and there was nothing like that before this album came out. Nothing. Now we're moving on to 1977, and we got one of the best New York punk records ever recorded, and it's Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, LAMF. Something motherfuckers. Anyways, this is the lost mix. Supposedly the one that was on the cassette sounded better than the actual vinyl. But this is a great punk rock album, man. It's one that's a lot of people are not really aware of. And they didn't really get to where they should have because the band had junkie problems, you know. Another one from 1977 is the Dead Boys. Young, Loud, and Snotty. I think I like this record more now than I did when it came out, to be quite honest. It's great. Fantastic. Another band, they moved from Cleveland, Ohio to New York, played in CBGB's. I remember reading a review in the LA Times talking about this band, and they were calling them posers because I guess when they played some LA club or whatever, probably the Whiskey, they all had new leather jackets. So how punk can they be if they all have new jackets, you know? But I wanted to show this one. Younger, Louder, and Snottier. This is the rough mixes of that album. And I think this is maybe better than that one. I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I really dig it. Anybody that likes Young, Loud, and Snotty, I recommend you getting Younger, Louder, and Snottier. Now we got 1978. The Spud Boys, Devo. Are We Not Men? We Are Devo. And that's probably the weakest song on the album, in my opinion. This is kind of a guitar-oriented album. Very cool. This was another band that was kind of arty. They do have some recordings from the like 74, 75. But yeah, one of my favorite punk albums. 1978. And another one from 1978 is the Electric Chairs, featuring Wayne County on vocals. What is this? Blatantly Offensive. This is another New York punk band. They were more from the Max's Kansas City scene. I don't believe they played CBGB's. But yeah, very cool. Now it starts off with F Off, and it's kind of like a boogie song, and it's got piano by Jules Holland. And my first impression was it's kind of like a Lou Reed type spoken singing vocals. But as it goes on, it really isn't. And in fact, that F Off song, the last verse, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and they go into a punk, version of the song. But yeah, very good album, man. On the Crest, this is a fantastic song. Now we're 1979. I hope I keep track of these years. We got the B-52's debut. This is a fantastic album. Rock Lobster. First time I heard it on K-Rock, I go, man, this is different. And the whole of side 1 is fantastic. 6060842, one of my favorite songs off of this. There really isn't a bad song, but yeah, this is one of my favorite punk rock albums. Another one from 1979 is The Plugs, Electrify Me. Great Mexican guys from East LA. First time I saw them, they played at the Olympic Auditorium, opening up for PIL, Public Image Limited. And they blew me away. And soon after that gig, I bought this record, And my last one for 1979, and I think I've picked this as the best album of 1979 period. And it's Germs, GI. Just a fantastic just a great album, produced by Joan Jett, and you got Pat Smear on guitars, played with Nirvana and Foo Fighters, but Don Bowles on drums, fantastic drummer. He went on to 45 Grave, and he was also from Phoenix. But yeah, Darby Crash, just a fantastic album. And like I said, I think it's the best album from 1979. Now we're going to move on to the 80s. And in 1980, you had this very unique punk album, X, Los Angeles. Now, I've heard people nowadays say that X aren't really punk. Get out of here, man. What is that first song? Your phone's off the hook, but you're not. When that riff, it's punk rock 100%. Nobody in regular rock and roll was playing anything that resembled that at all. But yeah, fantastic. And I've told the story before. You got Billy Zoom here. I was mistaken to be Billy Zoom. I was at the whiskey and someone goes, "Hey, you're Billy Zoom. Can I have your autograph?" And I go, "Dude, I'm not Billy Zoom, you know." And he goes, "I understand." I go, "No, I don't think you do. I'm not Billy Zoom." But he didn't believe me. So I gave this guy a Billy Zoom autograph. So somewhere out there in the world, somebody has a Billy Zoom autograph that was done by Vinyl Richie. Next one for 1980 is The Cramps. This is fantastic. Songs the Lord Taught Us. It's got just an incredible album. Now, this is a band that when I heard them on record, I wasn't all that impressed until I saw them. I believe it was it was in the winter of 78, 79. And they blew me away, man. They were, all four had so much charisma and just a fantastic concert. And this album was ready to be released in 79, summer of 79. But Alex Chilton, he kept messing with the mix or production, whatever. It didn't get released till a year later. Now we're going to move on to 1981. And we got the Dead Kennedys, Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. This is another album that was pretty unique. It's got some really great songs on it. And, I mean, everybody's familiar with, it's indie punk is familiar with Dead Kennedys. Another one from 81 is Black Flag Damaged. I think this is the best punk rock album ever. So, of course, I'm going to include it in my favorite 50. And yeah, it's got a kind of a muddy mix where the guitars and the bass, they all kind of sound, together. There's not a lot of separation. But apparently that's how they wanted it. But yeah, this is just one banger after another. Another one from 81, The Gun Club. Fire of Love, another very unique band from the LA area. You may notice I am a little Southern California heavy on my favorites, but that's just me. But yeah, this is a great, very original, kind of bluesy at times. I don't know, it's got a rootsy feel, I guess you would say. Pumped up, amped up. And the final one from 1981 is The Adolescents, just their debut. Now, if anybody said this was their favorite punk album or they thought it was the best, I wouldn't argue. It's fantastic. And it's banger after banger also. Now we're going to 1982, and I believe this is the year I have the most. And we're going to start off with Misfits, Walk Among Us, their first full-length album. Though they had recorded some stuff in 78 and in 80 before this. This is, I think, a great album also. You got Mommy, Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight, the live song. It doesn't quite fit with all the others, but it's the last song on side one, so it doesn't really mess it up that much. And I'm not including this, but I'm going to show it. It's Misfits, 12 Hits from Hell. This was recorded in 1980, the year before Walk Among Us. And I think nowadays, this is probably my favorite Misfits album. It's got got Halloween, it's got Skulls, London Dungeon, a lot of songs that were on that Misfits comp album that came out in the 80s. But yeah, this is fantastic. Okay, continuing on with 82. We got Angry Samoans, Back from Samoa. This is one of the most played albums in my collection. And it still sounds great. You take care of your records, they'll take care of you. Another great one from 1982 is the Bad Brains debut. Now, I didn't rate this album that high because when it came out, it was a cassette only release, and I had the cassette, and it really didn't sound that good. And I never bought this when it came out in vinyl until maybe 10 years ago, and I was blown away at how good this actually sounds. It's way better than that cassette I had. And yeah, this is, it's got some classic songs on it. Another one from 1982 is the Circle Jerks, Wild in the Streets. This is probably my favorite Circle Jerks album. I know a lot of people will go with Group Sex, but for me, I think Group Sex is my fourth favorite album. This one here, man, banger after banger. Another one from 1982 is the Hypnotics, Indoor Fiends, another Southern California band. And yeah, this is fantastic. It's got some funny songs and what's that one about it's got a song in here about a weather lady. I can't remember now. It doesn't matter. Great album. Another one, 1982, is The Descendants, Milo Goes to College. This is their debut album, and it's I think by far their best. Every song on here is really cool. The subject matter is kind of relatable to normal people, you know. It's just really cool. Another one, 1982, is Fear, the record. This is a fantastic. Side one of this is a perfect side. Side two has Get in the Brush, kind of Fresh Flesh. It's okay. But yeah, still one of my favorite. Side one of this is fantastic. Bobby Gass would love that. And I think this is my final one from 82. No? Legal Weapon, Death of Innocence. I think her name's Cat Williams is the vocalist. This one has Steve Soto and Frank Agnew from The Adolescents on it. Fantastic album, man. Their first few albums are really good. Then they kind of went into like a glam rock thing. And this is my last one from 1982. Christian Death, Only Theater of Pain. I think one of the best records ever made. It's just so unique and so original. Roz Williams is just a poet on this. Now we're going to go to 83. And we got The Stains. Fantastic album. Now this came out in 83, but I believe it was ready to be released in 81. Maybe 80. But Greg Ginn, it's on SST Records. But Greg Ginn kind of delayed releasing this because he didn't want this coming out before Damage. But yeah, this is a fantastic. Another band from East LA. Fantastic. In fact, these guys were kind of based off of Eastern Avenue, and I lived off of Eastern Avenue for 20 some odd years. 83, maybe the best album from 83 is Minor Threat, Out of Step. You could say this is an EP, but I'm calling it an album. I think this is one album that I related to more than almost any other record. The lyrics spoke to me directly. And a band from Boston, Jerry's Kids, Is This My World? Fantastic. The drummer on this, man, he sounds like a jazz drummer, man. It's pretty wild, dude. This is a great album. And another one from '83 is the Suicidal Tendencies debut. This is also a very original sounding album. It really wasn't anything like it. It was kind of punky, kind of had some, metal flourishes here and there. But it's got some of the best songs ever, man. Institutionalized, very cool video. They used to play on MTV. We got Jodie Foster's Army. What is this? Valley of Yanks or Yaks or whatever. Their debut, fantastic album, man. Another band from Phoenix, Arizona. That one has like a mixture of kind of sloppy punk and surf rock. Another one from '83 is Necros. I used to pronounce it Necros. We didn't have the internet back then, and that's how I pronounce it. Conquest for Death. This is fantastic. When you put side one on and you hear that guitar, it's like, and it plays this rhythm for, seems like 20 or 30 seconds, just playing this really hard rhythm. This is going to be a banger. Another one from '83 is White Flag. S is for Space. Fantastic album. These guys were great, man. They kind of lighthearted at times. The Cramps sang about phony Beatlemania. These guys sang about phony anarchy, at times. Great album, though, man. And my last one from '83 is Negative Approach, Tied Down. Tied Down, the first song on side one, is so good. And then it's followed by Hypocrite, which has this kind of hard rock, metal feel to it. And yeah, this is just a great album, man. The vocals on this are... Pew! Okay, 1984. Dicrusion. I know that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how it's spelled for this yank. This album is rad. The vocals on this are like nothing I'd ever heard by this time. And just the songs are just hard hitting. But man, it's the vocals that really stand out on that. Another great record from '84 is Battalion of Saints, Second Coming, band from San Diego. This is just a classic, great. It starts off with My Mind's Diseased, and it never lets up, man. Another great one from 1984 is Stalag 13, In Control. This is a band from the Oxnard area of LA County. That is the western northern tip of LA County. A lot of those bands were on Mystic Records, but this band never played on Mystic, I don't think. This is on Upstart Records. But yeah, really good album, man. Now we're going to '86. We got Sam Hain 3, November Coming Fire. This is a fantastic album. I love all of the Sam Hain albums, but this is probably my favorite. It's kind of like the Misfits, but it's very muddy sounding. Glenn Danzig plays a lot of the guitars. I think there's another guy, Ari Vaughan's on here. But yeah, this one is it's got some really great songs. They have a version of Halloween on here that's really good. To Walk the Night, Let the Day Begin. Just a great album. And one more from '86 is Butthole Surfers, Rembrandt, Pussy Horse. Now, I don't know if this is my favorite Butthole Surfers anymore. It's probably the one I've played the most in my life. That and the Earthworm one, Earthworm Saloon or whatever. But I'm gonna pick this one. But yeah, I'm starting to listen to some of the other ones more now. But this is definitely the one I played the most. It starts off with Creep in the Cellar. I should leave a link to just some of the songs. That song is so creepy. It is just a great way to start an album. And it has piano. Dun, 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 dun. And another one from 86 is Kings of Punk, Poison Idea. This is their debut album. They had some EPs before this. This is just a fantastic album. Probably my favorite punk band out of Portland. And I was turned off by this album when it came out. And I didn't buy it. Probably maybe 12 years ago, I finally bought this after listening online. And the reason I didn't like it, he's got this X-Acto knife here. And carved in his stomach is, you know, Poison. The name of the band, Poison Idea, and I just that was a big turnoff. And the final one for 86 is the Cro-Mags, The Age of Quarrel, New York hardcore band. This is fantastic. There were a lot of hardcore. Straight edge bands out of New York, but this is my favorite hardcore band out of New York. Now we're going to go to 87, and we got Big Black, songs about fucking. Now, Atomizer, I like that album just as much as this, but side one of this is a perfect side, one of the best sides ever in punk rock, and that's why I'm showing this one. They do The Model. I believe that's a Kraftwerk song. Bad Penny. La Dopa. Just, it's ridiculous just listening to songs. Great, noisy, really metallic sounding guitar player. I did a video on 5 underrated guitarists, and Steve Albini was one of the guitarists I featured. Then I did a Rest in Peace Steve Albini video after he just recently passed away. Now we're going to 88. We got Mudhoney. Super Big Muff, is it? Super Fuzz Big Muff. Just fantastic. Out of Seattle, Washington. Probably Mudhoney. It's definitely the band I have the most records of. So they're probably my favorite. But, you know, I'm not hating on Nirvana. But yeah, this is a great album, man, for 1988. And the last one for 1988 is the Flower Leopards. Tony Adolescent and the Flower Leopards. Tony Adolescent from the Adolescents joined on this one and sang vocals. And it's just, it puts them, I don't know. I mean, their earlier stuff I really like a lot too. But yeah, this is just great delivery, great vocals, just a really great, or no, not great, fantastic. Now I got one from the 90s here. And it's L7, Smell the Magic. Now this is an EP. It's got 3 songs on each side. So it really shouldn't count. But in Australia, they released it with some 3 additional songs. So side 1 has 5 songs and side 2 has 4 songs. So I'm including it. Hard hitting. L7, one of my favorite bands from the 90s. Punk bands, I guess you would say. Just really great, man. I saw them early on. I saw them in Fenders, was it? In Long Beach before they even had a record out. They were great. Now we're going to move all the way up to 2004. We got Leftover Crack, and Fuck World Trade. Now, Leftover Crack, I think it's one of the best band names ever, man. Because anybody that's been around people doing crack, there's never any leftovers, man. You know, they start searching for little specks of lint on the carpet and start smoking that shit, you know. But this is a fantastic album. I think this album is the best mixture of punk rock and ska together. I think they do it better than anybody else. Now we're going to move up all the way to 2012, and we got Who Killed Spiky Jacket? Another band that's just having fun. There they are in the back, you know, all smiles. And yeah, it's you know, all fun, man. Leather loves studs, punks dress punk, spike your hair with beer, you know. Who Killed Spiky Jacket? Just a fantastic punk rock band. And I became aware of these guys. Was a guy in Boston who was talking about them. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. He doesn't do videos anymore. And so I watched them live gigs, and they were wild, man. People are shooting off bottle rockets inside this place. They would have been crazy to see live. Now we got 2014. We got the Coat Hangers. Suck My Shirt. I love all their albums, but this is probably my favorite, so this is the one I'm showing. This is the picture of the band. Female, all three females. Two singers, the guitarist and the bass player both sing. They both have distinct vocals. The guitarist is a little rougher. She plays drums too, though, huh? No, she's a drummer, huh? Anyways. Really quirky songs. They got some squeaks and kind of like the B-52s, how those gals do it. They have those pop in once in a while, but it's straight ahead punk rock. And one more is Death Valley Girls. This is Street Venom. This is their debut. Again, I like all of their albums. Their first couple are a little more punky than their last two. Their last two, the vocals, she sings kind of like in an eerie voice, kind of like how you would imagine one of the Manson girls, you know, how she would sound. And they kind of sound more eerie, echoey, I guess. But yeah, this is really great, man. 2015. We got Institute with Catharsis is the album. This is not the regular album cover. Let me see if I can get it out. This is what the album cover would look like if you bought it at the store, most likely. And you can barely see it. Right here it says Institute. But they had this wraparound cover one with a wax seal. And it was the same price, so I got that, you know, record nerd. But yeah, they're really great, man. From Texas, Austin, Texas, I believe. And the singer, he's done a couple of solo albums under the name of Piece de Resistance. And I know Hannah, the Omaha Introvert, is a big fan. But yeah, very cool, man. Institute. And now we're moving all the way up to 2020. And we got a band from LA, Smirk. Just really catchy, twangy guitars. Great vocals. Great hooks. Fantastic, man. Smirk. And this is their album, LP. And finally, we got Ryan Kidd, Dead in Memphis. This is his new album, just came out a few weeks ago. You can get it on Bandcamp. And it's fantastic, man. This is the record I've been playing the most. Probably the last month or so. Even though I did go into a country and blues kick a couple of weeks back. This is a great album, man. Every song is fantastic. The lyrics are pretty down. I mean, I was a little worried that maybe all ain't right with Ryan, but he assures me everything's fine. But fantastic, man. Dead in Memphis. Check it out. It's on YouTube. You can stream it. I'll leave a link to it. Anyways, that's it. Take care, everybody. Take care. Oh, I was talking about the fever and Caitlin Clark and all that on my last video. And some people didn't get the point. Deadwax. My point was, you don't always get a chance to see somebody that's transforming a sport. And right now we have that opportunity with Caitlin Clark. Take care, everybody. Deadwax.